The music was fabulous. Well, welcome everyone to the 2023 Latinx Kidlit Book Festival. I am your host, Angela Montoya, and tonight we will be discussing 10 things I wish I knew about marketing my book. I'm so thrilled to be a part of this discussion and to just learn. Because my young adult fantasy romance, Sinner's Isle, will be hitting the shelves in exactly 6 weeks to the day. And I'm in my marketing promo era. And so this discussion is just what I need. Probably what I needed maybe 6 months ago, but I'm happy to continually learn. And I'm just excited for everything that we get to discuss tonight. A little bit of housekeeping before we officially dig in. Before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone watching that you can read our anti-harassment policy in the chat box. And don't forget to subscribe to the Latinx Kidlit Book Festival's YouTube channel. If you are a school, classroom, librarian, or educator joining us, our school visit fund is back. You can enter to win a free virtual visit from a Latinx author or illustrator for your classroom or library. You can find the link to that entry form in the chat. And also, if you have any questions for our panelists, please drop them in the comments and we will hopefully get to them later on tonight in this discussion. So let's get into it. First, let's introduce our amazing panelists. And I want you guys to just tell us a little bit about yourselves, even though everybody already knows everything about you. But tell us a little bit about yourselves and your books and, just your life stories. Just go ahead with that. Let's start with Laura.
Oh, hello. Oh, thank you, Angela. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. We're so glad to hang out with you. I'm Laura Taylor-Namey. I write YA contemporary so far. That's all I've had time to do. I live in San Diego. I'm Cuban American. Love Cuban food, especially like a cubano or a pastelito de guayaba. They show up in my books all the time. I'm the author of, I don't know how many books now. I'm working on number 6, so that's that. But Cuban Girl's Guide to Tea and Tomorrow. And next week, the companion novel, A British Girl's Guide to, I don't know, Hurricanes and Heartbreak. What's the title? That comes out next week. So if you love Cuban Girl, pick up British Girl. Still tons of Cuban rep in here and all the family fun. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about marketing and to hang out with these beautiful young guests. So, yeah.
Yes. How about you, Anika? tell us a little bit about yourself and your book.
I am the author of children's picture book biographies, mostly. But I do have a new book that is not a biography, and it's about my cat. And you have to market books about your cat, of course, using your pets, but it's called Gato Guapo. Sorry, I think I jumped out of the, came back in, so I'm a little flustered. And I was like, where did I go? So I'm back. But yes, I do fiction and nonfiction books. Another one of my books is Phenomenal AOC, about the amazing Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So I'm the picture book representation on this panel, and excited to talk about that as well, like the differences between YA and picture book. If there's any picture book authors out there, illustrators out there. I'm excited to chat with you about marketing your picture books.
I love that. That's so fun. And yes, we all need more and more picture books, especially with that sort of representation. That is beautiful. So I'm going to have to get your Gato one, especially because it's pretty dang cute. So Zoraida, I mean, tell us everything about you and your book.
Hi, I'm Zoraida Cordova, and I'm from Ecuador. I grew up in New York. I've published about 20 books in many different, since 2012, across many genres. So young adult, middle grades, and now I've moved on to the world of adults. But I'm really happy to be here with everybody. My latest book is actually an anthology called Mermaids Never Drown, and I just got these today. And it's an anthology, a companion to the series I started with Natalie C. Parker. And so it has amazing authors, and it comes out next week.
Oh my gosh, so exciting. Like, what great timing to have your guys' books coming out right around this time. So it's just a beautiful, exciting time for everybody. And me in particular, just looking at you guys is really, really humbling and very, very exciting. I mean, you three have books, and like, I think it's something we all aspire to have and to be where you are. So just first of all, congratulations. And thank you just for bringing these books into the world. It's not easy. So, hats off to you three. So thank you. Let's get into our very first question. And it's something I used to think as well. And so that's how this question came so easily, which is, it seems like there is this idea many budding writers have that once an author signs with a big publisher or any publisher, that author gets to focus on writing and craft and not have to worry about things like marketing or promotion. Do you find this to be true? Let's go with Laura.
Absolutely not. Like, if this is true, that's like somewhere over there. Yeah. No. I wish sometimes, but more and more and it's never really said like, you have to do this in order to, be a consistent continuing writer in the house or in an imprint. But they sure send a lot of emails with like, here's how to do TikTok and here's how to do that. And I just got one on, it was so funny because I've been on TikTok for a couple of years. It was from my publisher on, are you new to TikTok? Here's what to do and how to make it best for you if you want to, but don't, if you want to. So I was laughing so hard because, I mean, I would love that luxury. It's just not a reality because our readers are online and the world has changed into how consumerism works and how we get access to things. And I think there is a part of us that needs to be a part of that. And, but yeah, then again, there are times when I turn everything off. You can totally disengage. You can go on hiatus, and I'm drafting right now, so a lot of the times I'll put up a thing that says this, I'm not as available, or I'm taking 6 weeks off. Do that because we all need that time, or it can be very unhealthy. And But no, that is not true. Whether you accept that or not, I mean, it's just up to you and your own publishing journey, and it's often different for every imprint. I'm sure as we hear from the other authors, they'll speak about that. But yes and no. Yes, you can still have that good writing time, but no, that's not all there is anymore.
Yeah. How about you, Anika? I'm interested to see, like, the picture book, like, world. Do you feel like, you find this to be true, or are you out here having, focusing on marketing as well?
Definitely not true. Definitely focusing on marketing. One thing is that with picture books, the marketing budgets seem to be even smaller, to be perfectly honest. And so a lot more falls to the author to do. That's not to say that there isn't a publicist and there isn't effort put behind it, but I definitely find that, with picture books, it's a different market and it tends to get a slightly smaller budget. So you have to get creative in doing some of the things yourself, for sure.
Yeah. And especially, I'd imagine, well, even young adult, like, a lot of you're having to market to the parent in a way too. So is that a little different in how you think of, like, social media? Are you, because you're not necessarily marketing to the kids at this point.
Yeah. I mean, you're marketing to the gatekeepers, who are the parents or the educators or the influencers. So in some ways it can be, you can feel like, okay, that's almost easier because they have, more buying power, hopefully, hopefully, maybe. But at the same time, you're not marketing directly to your audience, to your readers. Although I happen to think that picture books are for all ages. So in some ways, sure, I am. But yeah, it's a slightly different model and a different way of thinking about it.
How about you, Zoraida? Can you hear? You're good?
I can hear now, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Now, do you find this to be true for yourself? Are you able to just escape and then focus on craft?
I mean, I escape, but to my detriment, right? Like, where I had a publisher ask me about TikTok, and I just, like, didn't respond to the email because I'm like, so there's a couple of things, right? So if this panel is about the things I wish I knew about marketing my book, and I started publishing a billion years ago in 2012, and so the landscape of publishing has changed, and so it is really interesting being able to see how cyclical publishing is, right? Before TikTok, it was Instagram. Before Instagram, it was Twitter. It was YouTube. It was Tumblr. And so publishers will always try to use the free social media, because the real thing that they should be concentrating on is there's nothing that an author can do to move their book in the way that a publisher can with ad money, right? And so when I've had some really horrible experiences with some publishers, and in the way that they don't tell you what the expectation is. So, I mean, I would love to be Thomas Pynchon and, write Gravity's Rainbow and then, like, F off to the woods and, never show my face again and just keep writing books. But I can't do that, right? Because I still have to have some sort of presence. Although there are a lot of authors who don't have a social media presence and don't market their books in the same way. Suzanne Collins is one of them, right? Even before she wrote The Hunger Games. And so some authors get to do this, and some authors, depending on how much a publisher has invested in their body of work, have to do their own song and dance. And I think that is the biggest difference. It's like some people get to opt out and others don't. I love just writing my books, and if somebody buys them and posts them online, great. But I don't think my publisher would like that either.
Yeah, it's almost like a blessing and a curse sort of situation, which I feel like is just like the catchphrase for publishing in general, right? It's like, it's this beautiful thing, but there's all of these layers and expectations that, aren't necessarily said that we need to do, but are basically feels like that's what's expected.
It is like any freelance industry, right? Except that we have art and commerce at the same time. And so like if I just opened up a shingle to like sell cars, I would be expected to like somehow market my car dealership. um, and so when you equate it like that, you're like, oh well, this is a business too. And so how do we do this? How do we get the message across? But yeah, there are a lot of layers.
Yeah. But I mean, that's kind of a good thought process, is like, it's one of those, it's like we love it and it's this art and it's part of our soul, but it is a business as well. So it's like having that mentality, which is not always easy, but.
And I do feel like there's like an implicit and sometimes explicit agreement between you and your publisher that you are not going to go into your hidey hole completely, and that you're going to be participatory in marketing your book.
It's actually in the contract. Like, there's a line in most contracts where it's like, the author will do as much as they can to provide a book, but like it's like to the best of their ability. So you could always make a case that the best of my ability is being in my pajamas writing the next book.
So true.
Yeah, that feels right. That tracks. Like, it's funny. I feel like for the last like 3 years, I've been in this promo mode, even before I had a book deal. I was just like, oh, I got to do this. And now when I'm in like the last stretch, I'm so tired of promo and being online that I just want to stop. But I'm like, oh, I can't. I literally have 6 weeks until launch and then it probably have to keep going. But yeah, I think I was going too hard for too long and didn't take the break. And so now I'm at the part where I'm having to do whatever I can. I'm like trying to do yoga. I'm trying to just like meditate. That doesn't work. But it's like, yeah, promo is this, it's fun sometimes, but also it's a lot as well. Like feeling that need to be on.
Well, you're doing amazing, because I am on touch. I see you're doing so much, and the visibility is great, and you celebrate and you make fun of yourself, which is an element. Maybe we'll talk more about that later. You're willing to do that, and I think that's really fun, especially with the YA stuff. But I just want to say you are doing amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Keep doing it, and stop too. It's okay to miss a day and to do something for you, and go see a friend that's not in a box, these little boxes. It's okay to do that, to refresh and recharge yourself. Because
that's great advice. I think for all of us writers, really, is like to get off screen and go, like they say, touch grass or see
grass. Yeah,
right. See other
people.
Yeah. Oh, a trip would be nice. Now we touched a little bit on like publicists. Now, do you guys find that, have you always had publicists for your books, for each of your book? And, were they involved? And was it like a different process per book? Because I'm so curious about that, because I've only just had the one, and just with the one book. Mm-hmm. So do you find it like a difference when you have a publicist who is kind of more hands-on versus one that isn't, if that's been your experience? Let's go with Zoraida.
Yeah, I've had many publicists. But I've never had an outside publicist, except for Disney. But Disney is a different thing. Disney outsources their publicity team, so they hire freelance publicists. And so my very first publicist was a really lovely lady. I feel like when I was at Source Books, my editor, which was my first publisher, my editor and my publicist would leave every year. So like I just never really got attached, and I've learned to never get attached to people. My most recent editor at Simon & Schuster, when I got my edit letter in person from her, we had lunch, and I was like, please don't leave me. All right, please tell me if you're going to leave, so I just won't, you know. But with different publicists, they have a level of hands-on. I have not had a bad experience with publicists, regardless of how involved they are in the process. I think that there's a notion that I've heard at conferences, and like when authors chat amongst themselves offline, where it's like, oh, the publisher didn't do anything for my book. And I think that can be what you feel in the moment, because in comparison to a lead title, which means that the book has been selected by the publisher to like go all out, right? It feels like you're not getting that billboard on the Sunset Boulevard or in Times Square. But the minimum that a publicist, I've seen them do, is like send out your arcs to people, make some bookmarks and graphics. I'm currently working with some of the best publicists I've ever worked with. Wow. And I feel like they're chasing me because I'm lazy and behind on everything. And I've never had that before. So I think that the way to have a good relationship with your publicist is communication, and it's understanding what the expectations are. Every publicity plan I've gotten has a goal, right? Like, what is the goal for this book? Sometimes it's to hit a bestseller list, which hasn't happened for me. Sometimes it's we want to hit this demographic. Sometimes it's we want this number of pre-orders. And so as long as you have that, you have something that you're working toward, and having that kind of structure really, really helps in that feeling like somebody's doing something for you. Because without that communication, you feel really lost and like nobody's paying attention to you, and writers are very needy.
True. Very, very true. That spoke to my heart right there. How about you, Anika?
I think, well, I've had books, that have had publicists, and some that haven't. Sometimes it's something going on with the publisher, that they're understaffed and they don't have a publicist assigned to the book. So my editor will step in, and do some of that. But what I've learned is, like, I don't get very attached to, I've had lovely publicists. I don't get terribly attached to them because they move around a lot. They don't stay, they move up, they go to a different publisher. Like, so I don't feel, sometimes, like you were saying, Zoraida, it's like, oh, this is one of the best publicists I've worked with, but I've learned, like, okay, they might be with me through one book, but maybe not through the next 3 books. I definitely feel that the communication is really important. I'm also sharing with them what I'm doing on the sides, because I know that they have so many books on the list, and if you're rolling up your sleeves and doing some things too, they tend to get excited and appreciate it, and then see that you're really committed, and maybe give you a little bit more attention. There's a limit to what they can do, and they're working within a marketing plan and a publicity plan, but I try to just tell them that I'm here for whatever they need me to do, for the most part. If it's something I'm comfortable with, like TikTok, getting there, but not so much. But just kind of staying in good communication with them. And it's like anything. It's like what you put into the relationship. If you put in a little bit more, you're going to get out a little bit more. So.
That's great advice. Yeah. How about you, Laura?
Okay, well, I've had every experience from being a lead title and getting tons and tons of support, including inside, outside publicists, whatever, to being next to ghosted. Even though I was doing things hourly for my book and screaming from every rooftop I could get myself onto, and hiring help and getting street teams and making things and going, circus tricks to absolutely nothing happening. I've had that. And it's humiliating. It's degrading, because you've given your best, and you have something that you think is beautiful and you believe in it, and then you're not always getting support. I'm trying to say that that's rare, and it usually happens within staffing changes, maybe at an imprint, comings and goings, business. It really has nothing to do with me, but yet that was all I had. And then I have an amazing agent who has stepped in and is like, okay, I'm going to do it because no one is helping you. So I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to make sure, I mean, things weren't getting done. Things weren't getting sent, like books weren't getting sent to bookstagrammers who had asked for them. You know, I paid for things and the titles weren't getting sent, or, I mean, it's just, you want to go into like a hole and just kind of stay there for a while. And I've had middle of the road, you know, wonderful publicists that are so communicative, and it's like, here's what we want to do. Here's what we need from you. And then let's meet back at the end of the week. And that's, so I thrive off of good communication because I'm right there. I'm always working, either writing or doing either writing, mentoring and helping other writers, or being inside my writing community, or doing promo. So I'm always online. They're like, you got back to me so fast. I'm like, well, because I don't leave. But and that is what Anika was saying, is like, yes, whatever you give back, if you have someone like that, they're going to enjoy partnering with you, and you're going to have fun. You can have meetings where you decide, you take tangibles from your book, or you take cute things that you've done and you can use that and give them ideas and share. That I've had too. I think it really depends. If you're an emerging author, if you're an author on sub that's ready to get picked up and you're watching this, your experience could run from, it really depends on the funding that is allotted to your book. And I hate to say this, but I'm doing real talk today. The funding that is allotted to your book is going to usually determine your experience and what you're given. Mm-hmm. So if you are a lead title, right, okay. And that has nothing to do with you. And it has nothing to do with your book sometimes. It's just where they put the money is real talk, what's going to happen. If you're an established author in an imprint, that even changes book to book. And the more you do, I mean, I'll tell you, for Cuban Girl, I had no help until Reese Witherspoon picked it up. And then I had everything. And then it was like so much help in 4 minutes later, literally.
And then it's like, look at what we did. Just kidding.
Yeah. And it's okay. And then I had a wonderful publicist stepped in and like, here's your Google documents of all the things you need to do today. And here's your schedule. And here's this. And, oh, okay. You know, and here's what I'm doing. And this interview and this is going up. And it's like, okay, thank you. You know, but a lot of times what you could have, some imprints will they have a publicist that works all across a different set of imprints, and you will be just conversing with your editor. And your editor will then go to the publicist. I have had that. It's the most difficult situation. If that is your situation, I'm sorry. Have your agent step in and help too, so that's not just you and and the editors are lovely. They're so well-meaning. They're trying their best to be the go-between and to funnel out. And they're also trying to edit books. I don't know how they do this. So if you can imagine what's going on behind the scenes. So your editor is the person you're going to for all the words. You're also going to them for all of the events and to plan your launches and to get books out to influencers and to make graphics and to do all the things. That's one thing that can happen to you. It has happened to me. You could have, like what I have now, I have a great team that is doing their best, and they set up things for me, travel, events. They'll make things, they'll do mailings, they pitch you to all the awards, okay, to all the interview outlets. They get your book into Teen Vogue or People or something fun like that, or they try to go for some of the bigger names to get or in your local newspaper, something like that. So that is a reality. You could have a middle of the road where you're getting some funding. They might do a mailing. They might get you into like Geek Squad or whatever that is. Oh man, I don't know. My brain. This is my reality right now. I have a book out in 7 days, so I'm in more of the writer. So that is one thing. That is one option. You could just have a nice, consistent, but not outstanding. Like you're not going to get the big things, but just as consistent partner to help you kind of reach out to those media and news outlets that don't look great coming from you or your agent. Mm-hmm. So that's reality. So it really depends on money and the imprint and their things. So
I think a follow-up question that I'm sorry to butt in, but something that you said was like, it depends on what a publisher allots you. And so some of you in the audience might be wondering, well, how do they determine that? And from my experience, it has been the in-house read. So you turn in your book. It's many different things. It could be many different things. Like it could be like an author's likability. We always see like a young ingenue get, you know, put up by the publisher, and it's really wonderful that they put all this behind them. But for me, the experience has been like your publisher, your editor takes the book to every department and is like, this is the book. You know, for The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina, which was my adult debut, that book came out 4 years after I sold it. It was sold for a very modest, small amount. And my editor took that book in-house and was like, this is the book. And all of a sudden, like, I got an incredible marketing plan. I got a book club pick. I got, like, it was things that I had never experienced. And so it was the moment where I saw, this is a machine, and the machine turned on for me, right? Whereas in other experiences, it's like, we're going to do a couple of things and we hope that are free, and we hope that we get lucky. And you see that the first time I understood expectations of marketing was when a publisher literally told an editor at my publisher told one of my bookseller friends, who she didn't know was my friend, that my book Labyrinth Lost had been a very disappointing title, and at a conference. And my friend, like, the bookseller, was complimenting the book and was like, I sell it all the time, and I keep it in-house. I keep it in the store so that we can sell it. And the editor was just like, yeah, that book didn't do very well for us, or didn't exceed expectations. And so I emailed the editor and was like, first of all, you didn't work on my book. And when we had this marketing plan, I was never told what the expectations were. So if a publisher has expectations, they need to make that very clear. And that is the most important thing I wish I had known as a young author. And that was source books, you know. So
Okay.
it is, you have to like have these conversations in house, and hopefully you have an agent that can have them for you, because you know, sometimes you just can't get the words out, or you can't express what you want. But you always have to ask, because you never know what you're going to get.
Well, they will
Always
never,
ask.
unless you. Oh, go ahead, Annika. Yeah.
I was just going to say, always ask. Be prepared to hear no, but I've learned to always ask.
Yeah, they rarely will tell you outright. Okay, this is the difference between a publicist and an editor. A publicist will not, an editor will go to you and say, to make this book right, you need to do this, this, and this. It's called an edit letter. It's very linear. It's a back and forth, lovely relationship. Sometimes it's difficult, and sometimes it's going to make you, very stressed out, but it's all right there. Like, this is what we're working on. This is the thing you need to do. And my editor was fantastic. Like, on page 37, this is where you can add in that thing, like, okay, publicists not like that at all. They're never going to say, you need to do this on Monday, and on Friday you need to do that, and then you need to create 6 TikToks and 3 Instagrams, and here's the assets. They're not going to do that. They're going to give you a plan. I got it's like on the back of your ARC, sometimes it'll say, we're doing this and that. There's going to be a plan, but they're not going to give you the publicist version of an edit letter and make their expectations clear. And even if they're not, if you're like me, you're going to do everything you can because you like to celebrate your book.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going to back you up. Sometimes they're not going to match you. Okay. So you're going to do it anyway because you want to, and don't stop doing it. Okay. And if you don't want to, don't, but if you want to celebrate your beautiful book and you want to make things and do all that, you're going to do it. And you're going to see that they're not right there with you sometimes, that they're lagging, or they're not making things. They're not even retweeting you. Okay, they're not even, or whatever it's called now. My goodness,
they're not even posting you on their Instagram.
They're not reposting you, and you're like, and it feels like you're the Flintstone car, and you're like going nowhere. You're going like this, and you're spinning like the duck. Whatever. My metaphors are all mixed. Sorry. Okay, this is just reality, but don't stop, because if you assign value to yourself based on what your publicist, your editor, your house, your dollar allotment is or isn't, this is going to crush you. It has the possibility to crush you, because you're like, I'm doing so much and I'm getting so little, but you can't be in it for that. It's the long game sometimes. And then one day you're going to get this something's going to hit. And then you're going to have to like breathe, and you have all this publicity. Book Talk is like, you're the newest darling. That is not me, but I'm saying, like you can like show how you're doing your mascara or, plucking your eyelashes, and that's like, oh my gosh, and you're like viral. Okay. That is not our doing. That is something we can't control. And if it happens to you, celebrate that. Until then, celebrate what you've done for yourself, because if no one else is, then you need to do it.
Wow. That's so beautiful, honestly, and like very inspirational. And it kind of just makes me think of like, there's so much that we can't control. There's so much behind the scenes that we don't even know is happening. And yeah, it's like it just takes this one person that really believes in you that's gonna just fight and push you on. And I feel like the only thing I can control, like marketing wise, and it probably doesn't even really push the needle that much, is social media. It's like the only thing I can do, because I can't go out to whoever and push my books. I'm not a saleswoman, but I can be on TikTok making funny videos and maybe talk about my book. And, maybe one person might pre-order the book because of something I was able to do. And so I think that's why I've been pushing so hard, is just like, I can't control anything, but I can control my own presence online. And I know, Laura, you mentioned like you're constantly online, or feeling that, do you feel this pressure of like being on social media and like replying to readers and just being present all the time?
Is that for me? I don't do anything I don't want to do. I love my readers. If you're my reader, I love you, and I want to engage with you. I don't go, oh my gosh, they commented, so I have to reply. If you give me a comment, you send me a message, it's like, oh my gosh, I like your book, or just sometimes I'll get like, have a nice day, Laura. I hope you're writing today. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to cry. Like, I love you, readers. I want to be with you. I don't want to be drafting sometimes. I want to hang out with you. I want to talk about books. I want to talk about characters. I want to make fan casts. Like, I love it. My goodness. I love to engage, but that's me. I'm an extrovert. I'm out there. Like, you can come talk to me. You can ask me stuff. If I can't talk on something, I will make that clear. Like, I can't speak on this. But otherwise, if you want to I will reply to you, because I think people, especially teens, need to be seen. And I want you, if you're my reader, I want you to be seen. And I see you. So that means I will talk to you. I'm never going to if I'm not going to sit there, maybe, if I don't have time, I'm not going to do it. But I do take time out of my every hour, at least 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But because I feel zero pressure. Everyone tells me not to do that. Like, I don't care. I love my readers. And so I want to be with them.
Yeah. How about you, Anika? Do you feel this pressure to be online?
Sometimes a bit, but I think one of the biggest things that came out of what Laura just said is that, like, I think, if you're a debut author, you're thinking, what should I be doing? How much time should I be spending? Do I have to be here? Do I have to be there? And like, what came out of what Laura just said is like, if it brings you joy, if it feels natural to you, if it feels authentic to you, then yes, you should be there. If dancing on TikTok makes you feel like you're going to die, like, don't do it. It has to feel like the way that you want to engage with your audience. And it doesn't have to look exactly like how other authors do it. You need to figure out what suits you, what suits your book too. You want to think about, like, where is my audience? Like, think like a marketer a little bit. Like, where do the people that read, where do we meet? Where do the books that I write and the people that read them meet? And maybe choose that way if that feels right to you, in a way that makes sense. And if it doesn't make you feel like, oh, I don't want to do this, then don't do it. And nobody gives you a prize for doing it one way, and nobody's like gonna slap your hand for not doing it one way either. So, if you love sharing recipes on Instagram, like, find a way to do that too, and cook while you talk about your books. Like, whatever works for you. If it's authentic, your audience is going to feel that, and they're going to want more of that.
Yes, I love that. I'm taking like mental notes. Is this going to be recorded? Because I want to listen back to all of this. Is it? Somebody tell me. How about you, Zoraida? Do you feel ever the pressure to be online and just communicating with everybody at all times?
I don't feel the pressure, no. And because like Lara said, like I don't do anything that I don't want to do.
Yes.
And I also have like the very timely experience that I had social media in college. So like when I first started querying, and so my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, there was no Instagram yet, but there was Twitter and Facebook. And so I always, at a certain point, it was just like, it was only for college and for college students that's when Facebook started. And then as it opened up, it became like, oh, now it's a marketing platform. Now it's like, we can use this to sell anything. So I feel like I had to transition like dumb college tweets to like, oh, I'm a person, right? Like I'm a professional. But I always, every release day, I would spend like go to bed and answer everyone who congratulated me. I think that is always really rewarding, because the entire process, the entire time you're writing and you feel like, oh, nobody's going to buy this book, nobody likes this. And when you see like an outpouring from your colleagues and your readers, you're like, oh, okay, I feel better now. My anxious monster has been put to bed for a little period of time. And for me, like that type of interaction has to be organic. Like you never want to be in a weird situation or feel like, once you feel like it's a pressure, you should just log off for a little while and figure out what is the best relationship you can have to social media that makes you feel accomplished and engaged in your community, as opposed to like something your publisher told you to do.
Yeah. Dang, you guys are coming with the truth right now. This is like just hitting. It's so valuable, honestly, and it's just really, really encouraging to hear. And it's a good reminder of like why are you on social media? You know, what is the purpose? If it's like you're feeling like I just got to push and market, then you shouldn't maybe be on there for a little bit. Take a break. And when it's joyful and fun and it makes sense and you're, interacting with people and you're laughing, be on there. And it's just a beautiful thing when you are in that mindset. It makes it more fun, and people seem to latch on and enjoy what you're posting more anyway. So I think it's good. Now, besides social media, is there other ways that authors can market their books? Do you guys find? Let's start with Laura.
Okay. Community, make friends, make writing friends, because then they can post for you on social media.
Yeah.
Or they can have parties, or they can, a lot of times something, if you're in a debut group, you'll get arcs. Do an arc share. So you're going to send your, I used to make a spreadsheet. It's like, who wants Cuban girl? Who wants British girl? And I'd send a couple around, and anyone who get it was supposed to I just kindly ask them, hey, take 2 or 3 pictures and post them for me or share them. And then take the book, whoever ends up with it last, to an indie bookstore that's somewhere that I can't reach, and go in there and show them, and please take my whatever, postcard or something I send them, and kind of be my fee. And your friends will, if you have a book coming out, your writing friends that aren't writers will love to do those things for you. People want to help, but they don't know, they don't always know how. So you're not directly, online, but you're getting people to kind of widen your web and to talk about you and share, and maybe talk about their to their friends about the book because they read it early. Yeah. So that arc, or if you don't have, you can send a digital arc too. It doesn't have to be paper. You can make things and bookmarks, swag, send that around. If you have, a lot of this does end up online, but as far as like just doing posting, you can, if there's foods in your book, especially with, Latinx books have beautiful foods tied to plot and to culture and to family and to our stories. Make those things, have people over, then have them take pictures and post those or do something like that. Find what's special about your book and celebrate that. There's a woman, Jacqueline Firkins, who does dresses for all these YA books and adult novels too. So find people that do things well, painters, musicians, and see if they'll do something for you to kind of widen, to make your book beyond just ink and paper, is what I'm saying. Like, to make it look and smell and taste wonderful, and to be exciting as a consumer, as something that we can celebrate and hold, and that has different facets and layers. So that's what I like to do, and that's the fun part.
That's really fun, honestly. That's really, really good. How about you, Anika?
Well, a lot of my books are marketed in the school and library market because I'm making picture books, nonfiction picture books. So a lot of what I do is connecting with schools. You can't market directly to schools, like you can't email blast schools, but you can certainly do school visits. You can do virtual visits.
Yes.
You can offer, if you want to, and you have a book coming out, you can offer free 15-minute book talks. I'm really careful not to. I think that authors should be paid for their time. I value myself. I value my time. However, if I have a new book coming out, I'd love, and it's 15 minutes virtually, I can Zoom into a classroom and connect with teachers and tell them about my new book. So I try to think about, again, it's thinking about like the audience and finding other ways. I'm represented by a school visit agency as well, but in addition to my literary agent, and they help connect me also with schools, and schools will also do book sales if you come and visit them often. They can do that. So that's a big part of my sales, and so that's a big segment that I pay attention to, is the school and library market.
Especially for middle grade and picture book, I think having that school connection. I've had some really great school visits, and in the beginning of my career, I would do a couple of free ones just to get those blurbs. It's like this industry is just blurbs forever. To get nice quotes from educators, but yeah, charge a price and see if you could do a school book tour. I think that when it comes to doing this other types of creative marketing, is find something that your book is about, right? If you write a book about mermaids, target mermaid lovers, right? Danielle Clayton, for her book The Bells, she made a book box and filled it with a lot of decadent, beautiful flowery, candles and objects that could belong in the world. And obviously that costs money, but it's money that she put toward her own, an investment toward her own thing. And so it was this splashy moment of having a bell box to go with the book The Bells. Obviously I'm not telling people to go bankrupt in marketing supplies, because to be honest, I still have bookmarks that I made from 2012 because I made too many. So just be careful with that. But there are what is your book about? For Latinos, for Latin people or Latinx people, I would also suggest pitching internet think pieces, which is often hard, and I found it hard as a fantasy author, because I feel like the media doesn't want to hear from us unless we're here's my immigrant story about crossing the border or ICE or being sad and poor, and then let me tell you my feelings, and then they'll let you write 600 words for the Atlantic. But if I'm just making up one, I'm not shading anybody, but but if I'm I want to talk about fantasy and how fantasy is part of the Latinx experience, that's been harder to pitch, because there are news is cyclical, and so if you can tie your book to a current event or a subject matter that is in the news, you can pitch Like you can have your publicist pitch or find the pitch email address of a website like HuffPost or anything, or like make your own Medium piece and circle it around. But like it's something that's also something that you can do.
Oh, that's really smart. Actually, I just saw someone talking about, and who was it? My brain is gone, but he was talking about after Heartstopper came out, it blew up. Everybody loves it. And so he said, well, if you like this book or this show, my book is similar. And his book blew up because of that. And I was just like, oh, it's so smart. What you said, Zara, just like attaching something like even in pop culture or what's happening in the world to your book. I think that's pretty genius. Now, this question isn't on here, but it's something I've been just kind of like pushing in my head about. Do you guys find like pre-order incentives and swag? Do you find that helps push the needle? Is that something, do you think that is worth doing? Or is it just kind of just a fun thing that authors should do? What are your thoughts on pre-order swag? Let me just go with Anika here.
You picked the wrong person.
Oh,
Because,
yeah.
because I think like, I don't know. I have done that, like offered swag for pre-orders on picture books. And I feel like that maybe is more relevant for middle grade and YA. So no, I haven't. I have success with that, but
okay, all right.
It's these fine. Ladies and
I have done pre-order incentives. And they're always out of my pocket. Like for Vampires Never Get Old and the Mermaid Anthology, like the publisher will pay for the fulfillment. But for the most part, like I've been told we don't do pre-orders, which is fine, because like sometimes you're like, okay, but you did it for this. That's fine. It's fine. You can tell me whatever you want. Tell me the sun is blue. But so for Mermaids Never Drown, this anthology, Natalie Parker and I commissioned a tarot deck. So one for which we did for vampires as well. And so every person who pre-orders the book gets a 3-card draw, and every tarot card in the suit corresponds to a short story in the book. And so that's just something that is like, one, it's fun for Natalie because she has to write up all of the tarot explanations because she's been reading tarot since she was 16. For me, I assemble everything. So we have our strengths, right? Like, cause it's like a taxing thing. For Kiss the Girl, I printed these like holographic prints of, an art print. I commissioned an art print and I printed them and I put them in envelopes and I had wax seals and it was super extra. And I got a few pre-orders and it's never going to be enough for me. There might be other authors who get like, thousands, but like for me, it's like, okay, I see repeating names when they fill out their information. So I'm like, this person has bought every single one of my books since I started publishing. And that is an incredible feeling because you're like, it's every time you feel a little down, you're just like, there is a person who has bought all of my books. And so, that's when the pre-order, like, as long as it's not a burden or like bankrupting you, I enjoy pre-order campaigns because it's just like one extra thing. But it is up to your own comfort. Like everything, it's up to your own comfort level.
I think that's a really, like, I think that's the theme of this panel is like, do what you can in your own comfort level and whatever brings you joy. So I love that. How about you, Laura?
I just shipped off a big box of pre-order envelopes today. Like, why is this so timely? Like, maybe because my book comes out next week. Yes. This might be the last book I do it for. I don't know. For Cuban Girl, I did this thing where I made this little button of the little pastelito pin. And Andy, my illustrator, designed that. And it's so cute. And all my my daughter's friends put them on their backpacks. And she was asking for more pins. And the girls, it became a thing. And I was passing them out at events. And so I'm like, okay, I have to do something for British Girl. So I made Flora's camera. and it's the same thing. So it kind of goes together. I also did just bookmarks and book plates. But what I did this time, because of the pandemic and we lost a lot of events, so many people would ask me, like, how do I get a signed book? I want a signed book. I have this book and that book, and I can't get to you, or they're in Australia or Brazil or wherever. So this time I did a form where if they pre-ordered British Girl, they could get signed book plates for all of my titles, and all they had to do, and I write notes of whatever they wanted. All they had to do, there was a space on the form that they could tell me which book how many they needed and what names. And I got such a good response from that. And I mean, worldwide, I was getting pre-orders from the Philippines and India. And I was like, oh my gosh, Wales. And hi, if you were, from Ireland and I just signed your pre-order, and it was like, and then they were writing notes. So that was really fun because I felt like I was getting so many asks for these signed book plates. I'm like, okay, I need to create a space for this and just invite people to just take care of this now. But you have to pre-order British Girl. So I was like, okay, you have to, help me out and I will gladly. Right. But I have fun with that. I don't know if I'm going to do it again, but I wanted to kind of close the series.
It's time consuming. It's time consuming and expensive. I think
real talk, probably about $500.
Wow.
For a pre-order campaign. I mean, buttons will cost you $200 for 200 to 300. Real talk. It could be between $500 and $1,000 for a pre-order campaign.
Yeah.
If you're doing a lot of stuff.
You're doing a lot of stuff. And that's not your own man hours.
It is
stuffing
my
the
own
envelopes.
money and my own time. or my minions. So they're always my teens or my friends will come over and do that. Yeah. Just real talk.
I have a suggestion for people who might want to do like a pre-order that's not that expensive. If you have somebody with like design skills, or maybe your publisher will make you like design you a bookmark or a postcard. And that's something that's flat and you can put a postmark stamp on it and sign it and send it out. Because for Orquídea Divina, my publisher Atria did do a pre-order campaign for me. And they had like these not pre-order like a box, like the Orquídea boxes.
Art box. Yeah.
And I was like, this is so fancy. And then I thought of like, if I had done this, it would have cost me $1 bajillion to ship all these like boxes all over the country.
I got one of those boxes and they were legit. It was
major,
so beautiful. And I was just like, I felt so special when I got it.
That's my marketer. My marketer is incredible. I love her so much. And my publicists, they're great.
Yeah. Well, I think I like commented on your book or something. And she was like, oh, your last name's Montoya. Let me send you a box. And I was like, okay.
And
it worked. And I was already pre-ordering the thing anyway. I have multiple copies now. But the fact that she was like, hey, Montoya, that's the name. I was like, that's prime marketing at its best, right? Like you're linking these people who, and making it feel real and honest and like a connection. And, and maybe that's what pre-orders also, and like swag kind of does, is it gives you that connection with your readers, which I think we're all trying to do. But yeah, you're right. It was good.
It does not move the needle. I would say no. So if you are, I remember I was in a debut group. I don't know if as a writer that had that when you were starting. You're a veteran. I was thinking.
Yeah, I'm 2012.
2019 was my debut. So like I'm way out there. But we would I had a really good friend. She's like, I'm just not doing it. I don't want to. I don't have time. I don't want to spend the money. And her book did amazing. And her book was fine. Yeah. And it wasn't like, and she didn't,
I think it's like if you expect it to move the needle and be like, this pre-order campaign is going to make me hit the New York Times list. Like that's not the right expectation.
If you're out there and you're like, if I do a pre-order campaign, then I'm going to get 10,000
that's
pre-orders.
not what I'm saying.
No, it will not. It will not put you on the list.
Right. It gives you an opportunity to connect deeply with your readers, but it doesn't, it's not going to put you on the New York Times bestsellers. But there's a great value to that. Like Soraya was saying, like there's the person that bought all of her books,
see the same names.
Right. That's an opportunity to like more deeply connect with your readers. And if you look at it like that, then it has value and it's more longing.
Right. As a debut, you're building your platform. You're building readership. So you can do it. I did it as a debut and I got actually quite a bit, maybe 200, 100 to 200. It was a lot, but I had good marketing that I already had. See, that's when things help one another. I had a really good publicity plan and I wasn't like the lead, but I had, so I had a lot because maybe it worked out. It didn't get me on any lists or anything, but it got me kind of that break in readership and kind of just started growing that little seed. And I still see people that I met, readers, whatever, from that first book coming back and getting book plates now or getting things again, and they continue to buy and they continue to connect with you. So I think I can't stress the importance of that enough. Just that's what marketing is.
Yes.
It's people.
That's yeah. Okay, well, we're done. I think that was good. Right there. No,
we're not. We still have more tea to spill. I know.
That's perfect. Well, we touched on a lot, but I want to leave space for questions if anybody that's watching has any. But the last question I really have, and I'm so curious. I mean, we really have learned so much through this panel, but what is the number one thing you wish you knew about marketing your book before, the roller coaster began? Let that simmer for a second. I see the wheels turning.
Repeat that.
Okay, here we go. What is the number one thing you wish you knew about marketing your book before your publishing journey began? I'll let anybody jump in that's ready.
I had an answer before this panel started and I meant to write it down. I have like my notepad here, but I didn't write it down.
I'm sure it was so good. Whatever that answer was, I'm sure it was perfect.
Okay, I'll go.
Okay.
I think that I wish I knew that it's not an intuitive relationship. Like, that sometimes your book already has to be like a fuego before you get that kind of attention, right? And that's like, I don't want to be discouraging because I think all of that we've said has been like, there's not a space where there's nothing you can do. You can always do something to help your book. But there's also this reality that sometimes it's the books that you feel like don't need it that get the most attention, right? Like I had these little tiny marketing plans with just the bare minimum, and then Planting Stories won a Pura Beltre. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, so this is what I've been missing,
I mean, your book was beautiful.
Real talk. Yeah.
It was like, and
you deserve it.
It was, this is what it can be. And I again, I don't say this to discourage anyone, but understand that it is kind of an upside down model. That doesn't mean that you will not get quality, things done for your book, and that there isn't a team. Publishers want to sell your books. They really do. They want them, I think, usually. Like, not always.
Yeah.
I have how they act. Believe that. I have to believe that they want to sell my book.
Sorry, I'm the dark horse rebel.
I just had it. I'm like,
jaded.
Well, we're gonna circle back to that because I want to know what that's about. But yes, like, I have to believe that they want to. Do they always have the resources, the time? Do they give you like what they should? No, they don't always. But it is kind of an upside down system, and I wish someone had explained that to me because it took me a while to figure that out. And knowing that, with like walking into that with eyes wide open, sort of helps, because then you can think, okay, I've adjusted my expectations, and I'm going to do what I can do. And if I don't print 2,000 bookmarks and send them out, I am not the reason why my book is not selling. You know what I mean? Or it doesn't all fall on you. Like, understanding that the system is a bit upside down, and is a good sort of reality to understand. I hope that's not too discouraging, but
Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's perfect. Honestly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Real talk.
Yes. That's what we need. Real talk. And
Mhm.
I honestly, it's freeing,
Okay,
really. Yeah.
Okay, here's my real talk. I wish I would have not tried to make it make sense because it
Mm,
makes no sense. Okay, so just stop trying to make it make sense. Stop trying to assign meaning to it. Stop trying to validate it. Stop trying to organize it, compartmentalize it, whatever. It doesn't make sense. It never will because it's not linear. And it's not a reflection of you. It's not a reflection of your skill. It's not a reflection of your worth. It's not a reflection of your long game as an author in this business. It's not. It is its own thing that you can choose to make what it the best of at the best time, and that changes. Be flexible, be willing to change with it because it's cyclical. It's not ever the same. So stop trying to assign meaning to it and just write your books and just connect with your readers. Just put out beautiful things and let the work for you and just breathe. That's what I wish I would have told myself.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I had chills listening, honestly. And a reminder to just breathe is, I mean, it's so simple, but it's the truth. It's like you get so caught up in this world of publishing, and it just feels like you get so like, focused in, but there's more happening in the world at large. And, so it's almost like humbling of like, it's, not that it's just a book, but it's just one book that, that's going to come out, and it's okay whatever happens. And it's, just breathe. Thank you. Let me practice that right now. How about you, Zoraida?
Oh man, there's so many things that I wish I wish I knew. I wish I knew that it was okay to say no to things that I don't want to do. Or book deals, right? Like I wish like you can decline a shitty book deal. Sorry, I know we're not supposed to curse. But that's the only way I can describe it. You can say no to those things. Like if it feels weird and it's not enough money, like you can say no, because I have gotten into some situations that like with my first not to get negative, but I wish I had said no to certain things. And I feel like at the same time I would be a very different person. I feel like um the things you learn along the way make you, right? I wish I knew that it was okay to fail, right? Like not every book is going to do incredible. And out of 20 books, I have one book that did really great. And it took me, and if I had stopped at book 16, or I would never have gotten to the up to like to Orchidia Divina. And so I think that allowing yourself that and knowing that you can just keep writing, because the only thing that matters is getting better as a writer, right? Like the amount, whatever your publisher is doing for you, is only going to be so much, but the amount of work that you put into your own craft and sharpening your sentences and getting really deep into your voice and the thing that you're trying to say, like that is the thing that for me has the most value. And so I would be extremely content, like just writing my book and never being online again. But I would miss my readers and I would miss that part of it. But I have an open mailbox that people can send me love letters, which I love. And I write back. So so I wish I knew those things. I wish I knew like it's okay to say no, it's okay to fail. Because if one book doesn't work, you just write the next one. You just write the next one. And if nobody wants to buy that book, you make a new pen name and you write another one. Because there are some authors that are on their 7th pen name and finally hit a bajillion seller about vampires, which recently happened. But like it's this author's like 6th pen name, right?
Wow.
So like it's like you just can't assign value, like your entire value, to like one book, because it's not fair to the book, it's not fair to you, it's not even fair to your publisher. And I don't have publishing loyalty, because I wish I also knew that your publisher is never going to be as loyal to you as you are to them. So you have to put yourself first, and your career first.
Man. Yeah. Yes. All of that. I mean, sheesh, you guys really have just the best advice. I honestly, I feel so lucky and blessed to have just taken all of this in, and just to be reminded about the work, the craft, and just that's what really is important at the end of the day. It's getting better with each book, and finding readers that really, feel connected to your work, because at the end of the day, we're all just searching for a connection, and how beautiful is it to write something that connects with even just one person. It's such a powerful and beautiful thing. So honestly, thank you for all of this advice. I'm taking it, I'm learning it myself. Thank you very much. It's needed.
And you're doing amazing, honey. Or what is that? What's that meme? Like, you're doing amazing, sweetie.
It's Kris Jenner.
Okay.
And I know it's
one.
my agent sends that one to me when I'm, having one of my on the cliff moments. Like, you're doing
So funny.
amazing, Yeah.
I think I would just put that on my phone, like the background. Yeah.
But I see the pink jumpsuit right now with the the Ariana Grande song. I hear it. I thank you next.
That's perfect. Well, I think it's time now for our viewer questions. Oh, we're ready.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. So Myra Cuevas says,
Oh.
how do you grow relationships with booksellers? Oh, that's a great one. Do you keep a list of contacts? When do you reach out to them? Is there something that has worked well for you in engaging them? What a great question. Yes, please tell me. Anika, would you like to go first? Am I putting you on the spot again?
No, that's okay.
Okay, good.
Hola, Mayra. I don't have I should have a list now that you've written that. I think, why don't I have a list? But I definitely cultivate relationships with booksellers. Obviously, regionally, I will any place that I'm in, but especially regionally, I will stop in, introduce myself to the booksellers themselves, to the owner of the bookstore. I'll let them know I'm around. I feel like the indies have incredible power to to elevate your book. I'm, as we all are, very indie loyal, and I just try to meet them at conferences. Like, for me, it's the New England Booksellers Association. I always ask my publisher to send me there, because that's all the booksellers in my region that I can drive to, if they want me. So I definitely try to say, what can I do to help you? Say similarly with what I do with my publicists, it's like, how can I make your job easier? What do you need? And I just kind of keep that communication open. So actually, I do have a list of my local indies. I don't have so much across the country, which I should now, because you can do a lot of things virtually. But I think it's really smart to forge those relationships, and even just like if you're visiting, like give them a little love on social media. Shout out your favorite bookstores, or go in there and find your author friends, and seen in the wild, and tag your friend, your author's book, and also the bookstore, and let them know that the love is there. So that's not a very scientific way of doing it, but I certainly think that that's really important.
Yeah,
I want to have a better system, but
I want to clarify for Olga. I think when we say bookseller, we mean the person who works at the bookstore, not the distributor, like I forgot their names, but Ingram and those things, right. But I 100% agree with you. It's hard in a city like New York, or I'm sure like Miami, where like you have a billion bookstores. I'm lucky that in New York there's a children's bookstore that I had my very first launch at, and like I always remind and stress to authors, when you have a book launch, you go in there, you thank everybody, you say hi to everybody, because you never want to be, I've as having booksellers that are friends, they're like, this author's a diva, this author's mean, I can't ever believe it. I'm just like, what is happening? So yeah, like these are the people who you're in this together. It's an extension of community, especially when it's local. Um, Sometimes a relationship, like you can't meet every single person at a bookstore. I don't keep a list. I just know that I alternate in New York because I never want to feel like have a store feel left out.
Hmm.
So I'll with one store I'll partner with them for a pre-order with another, and so for the next release I partner with somebody else, and with with an so some people might only have like the one bookstore in town, or some people might have like a Barnes and Noble 50 miles away. And so it depends on what is around you. But you can I remember in 2015, 2017, or something like that, I was at a BEA. It was BEA when I was in Chicago one year, Book Expo America, which doesn't exist anymore, which is a tragedy. But my publisher sent me to BEA, and they said, "Here's a list of bookstores. Please go and introduce yourself to all of the bookstores." And because I am an extrovert, I was like, "Cool, yeah, I'll do that." And then I invoiced them for the taxis. Um, and yeah, like you're making me like, come on. And so, but I thought, I'm like, well, for an introvert, this must be a nightmare. Like going up to a stranger and being like, "Hi, I am author, please buy book." Um, and so that, there has to be a better way, for your comfort level. But that's another way to do it, is like start going into a bookstore, buy something, and then say, "I'm an author. How do I, who's your event coordinator? Who does my publisher reach out to, or who do I reach out to for an event?" And there are some mean booksellers. I had the very first time I tried to get a book event at a bookstore in my neighborhood. The bookseller was like, "Well, is it in hardcover?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Well, we can't do your book launch." And I was like, "Okay." So thank you for your service. I went to another bookstore and had like a sold out event. So that was great.
It's a hair flip moment. Like,
yeah. Big mistake. Huge.
So good.
Perfect quote for that. Yeah. I almost cussed when I heard you say that, but I held back. So we're good. No, for an introvert, which is here, it was rough. I'm not gonna lie. I went in. Luckily, the first bookseller I went to, I had been to for another event. Actually, Maria Jose Fitzgerald was at an event, and she introduced me, and was just so like nice about it, and that opened the communication lines, and that was whatever. But the second time, I was like, okay, I can do this. I got this. So I went to the bookseller, Barnes and Noble, by my local one, and I was like, I cannot do this. I walked right out. And then I came back and I was like, I have this arc. Do you want it? And they were so nice, but I fumbled every word. I don't think I made one coherent sentence, but somehow she pieced it together. Luckily there was a nice bookseller to hold my hand. Sorry, that was the Schnauzer. That was my dog. How about you, Laura?
Oh gosh, I don't know if I have anything good to add. I'll also say beyond physical bookstores and your local indies, for local indies, if you are doing events in your hometown, leave them a little gift or something that they like, some chocolates or cookies, or find out what they like. Or it could be just if you establish that relationship, food is always fun. Try to, I don't know, or just a thank you card or something to show, because they're staying late a lot of times. Like events are, I think my event next week is like the store closes at 7 and my event starts at 7. So it's like they're staying late. They're giving up their time to host you, and a little thankfulness it does go a long way. Also, booksellers hang out where readers do on social media. I know tons of booksellers who are also readers. They hand sell, and they write those shelf talker notes for you. Just get to know in your readership, you will find those people. They'll usually message you like, "Oh, I have your book in the back here. I work at Barnes, or I work at this indie, and it's on the shelf, and I'm looking at it." And then I'll ask them to send a picture, and I'll post that picture and tag it. And then if I kind of develop relationships with them, I do make a list of those people. And then if my publicist goes, hey, who do you want ARCs to be sent to? Those people get them first because we have a relationship, or I know that they're going to want it. They're going to promote it. They might talk about it. So I think I wish I would have known that as a debut. It's just kind of when I got those relationships kind of going, that I would have started those spreadsheets. I even did a TikTok about this, things I wish I would have done. That was one, to start a list. It can have 2 names on it. It doesn't matter. It'll grow, but maintain a list. And then when your publicist asks you, hey, who are the important people who are sellers to you? You can go here. I got to do that for the first time with British Girl. Like, it was done because I'm working, on a new book. I'm like, here you go, send. And it was already there. But that took years.
Yeah.
But I didn't start it until late. Right.
As you publish, you'll learn people's names too. And like this bookstore, like I have a lot of bookstores that are like super supportive in like states I've never even been to. And I'm always like, and I always feel like very grateful and make sure that the publisher sends ARCs to that store when it's time.
That's so cool. I love that. It's like building community and building these relationships, which is just really, really important. And I think if we've got 10 minutes left. So if we've got more questions, now is the time. Ines says, what are your thoughts on book festivals as a form of marketing or just part of the book experience? Yes, please, let's talk about this because I'm very excited. We're going to Y'all Fest. What are your guys' thoughts?
I have met all of my friends at book festivals. So in 2011, I was a debut. I had just sold my first book, and everybody told me, "Oh, you need to go to RT." RT was Romantic Books, the Romantic Times Book Festival, which was the book festival for the magazine Romantic Times. Obviously, it no longer exists, which is a huge sadness, but it was, for the most part, you will pay your own way to go to festivals unless like a publisher is sending you to the American Library Association or the American Bookseller Association or any of those kinds of association type of conferences where you're presenting your book. That's one type of convention. There are other book festivals like local city book festivals. There's a few in New Jersey, there's one in Brooklyn, Miami has one, LA Times has a book festival. So you sort of should figure out where the book festivals are around you, and if you can get there on your own, have your publicist pitch you for them, and just make sure you tell your publicist or marketing person, like, I would like to be pitched for this specific festival because it is in my town, right? So if you're from Tucson, you should be pitching for the Tucson Book Festival, right? Which is an incredible book festival. I love it so much. But I met all of my friends in RT, and we're still friends to this day, right? So like 10 years later, I'm still hanging out with the same authors that I met during my debut time. And so that is like, to me, that was money well spent, even though I was investing in those festivals myself. But they are expensive. And so some ways to cut costs is like, I always shared a room with another author. And so that cut that cost. One year I could not afford to go to Y'all Fest, but I was on program. I wanted to go. And so I took the train from New York to Charleston, and which was like 16 hours. I wrote 5,000 words on the train, got off the train and went straight to like the party. And I stayed at a friend's hotel. So like you make that work. Like I remember one of the most fun parts of festivals was there was always one author who's like the publisher sent them. And so we would always stay in their room. And then when my publisher sent me, I would, I would have like people stay in my room. And that's just like something you do for each other when you're first starting out. But really, like, I'm not telling you to max out your credit cards to go to Y'all Fest. But if there's something local, if there's something that like where you can go meet other authors in your genre or age group, that is something that like I personally feel was the best thing that I did for myself.
Yes, I'm excited. It might be a little challenging for an introvert, but I think we can get there. So I'm excited. How about you, Anika?
Same. I love a good book festival. They're really fun. I know that it does get expensive. I have some favorites. I will say that I'm in Rhode Island. The Rhode Island Book Festival is a fantastic one. They do actually
Pay
cover
for the author.
authors' expenses. Yeah. You have to get invited, but I think like having your publicist reach out and say I'm interested in going is great. I do same thing. I do a lot of New York festivals because I have family in New York, so I have people I can stay with. They're just, again, another chance to like meet your readers like face to face, and also network with other authors. And if you can swing a few festivals, it's just fun. They're just fun. Yeah, they're fun, and they're community, and yeah, I really enjoy them. So
especially around release time, because you want something to promote. Like I know that people sometimes feel like, I just sold my book, why hasn't this book festival invited me? Because you need to have the book published so that you can talk about it, because the purpose is to sell books. So like if you're just up there talking, you have nothing to sell. So just be patient, it'll happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good. How about you, Laura?
Okay, so practically speaking, what Zoraida said is totally true. If you have a book that's like came out 6 months before, or like
it's still in that window.
Yeah, the window. I'm going, my book comes out next week, but the festivals that I'm going to are in October and November. That's perfect, because it's like I'm done with the release week stuff and all those events, and then it's like I get to celebrate again, which I always want to party. And so that's fun. So just being able to space out those things. As far as if it's marketing, yes and no. Like, is it going to move the needle? You're going to sell a few books there. People are going to see you. They're going to pick up your book. Is it going to sell like list making title numbers? No, probably not, unless you're already there. But is it going to help you, again, with some of the most important things about writing, which is community and relationships, and again, celebrating what you've done and getting your face out there, getting practice. You're going to be on panels. Usually festivals will send you to schools like Y'all Fest. We're going to do school visits and panels. Those things, if you're new to that, they will give you practice. And it's more comforting to be with a group. If you're more of an introvert and you get put on a panel with 4 people, and you can say what you want, and you don't have to do too much. If you can kind of watch and learn it and be there and contribute what you want. And it's a good way to get kind of comfortable with being in front of audiences. And so I value them. Invite me, because I'll come to your festival, like if I have time.
That's the moral of the story.
I love the parties. There's the best parties too, right? I know the parties, just authors, for the most part, we're friendly, we're cool, and we love one another. And we love being in the same room together, because usually we're just in the same room with a laptop and maybe a dog or a cat, right? So my goodness, do we love when like the door opens and we're with a bunch of authors
for
a while, and then the readers come in, right? And then we're with a bunch of readers, which we even love anymore. So like being with our friends and being with readers, win-win. So invite us.
Major win-win. Well, I think we might have time for one more quick question by L. Gonzalez Rose. Do you have any advice for how to find where your audience is when it comes to social media? Fantastic question, L. Does anybody have an answer for this?
I'm sorry, I don't pay attention to that.
Here, okay. Your audience is organic. It's organic. It's where, find the things that are in your book. Like Cuban Girl had tons of sweaters and knitwear. So market to like tea and coziness, like cozy, do cozy aesthetics, do cozy, and the people will come. They'll find you. Put out the stuff, and people who like cozy reads, knitwear, knitting, whatever, tea, coffee, Pride and Prejudice, landscapes, will find you. So use what's in your book and stay there, promote that. You don't have to search for them. They'll find that. People will retweet and repost, and people are like, oh, what is that? That's something that appeals to me. and they will find you.
Genius. Anika, anything to add?
No, that was a great, that was the answer, I think,
That's the
like,
answer.
yeah, mine the content of your book for those little nuggets that are going to connect with people. And you'll find them on Instagram, you'll find them on TikTok, whatever. The platform is kind of irrelevant, right? You'll find that the audience is living there, I think,
Yes.
and hanging out there.
That's perfect. Well,
Yeah,
speaking
you
of,
don't have to search so hard.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't
They'll come
strive.
to you.
Books are
Yeah.
hard enough. Books are hard enough.
yes. Well, that's very practical and perfect advice to end this panel. Speaking of socials, where can our viewers find you? Laura, let's start with you.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, whatever Twitter is called now. I reject it. It's still a bird.
X.
TikTok, yeah, whatever. I won't say it. Blue Sky, Threads. Just if you look on my Instagram, I have a link tree to all my handles, and I have a website. You can find all my handles, just laurataylornamey.com, and hit me up and say hi.
Perfect. How about you, Zoraida? Where can everybody find you?
I deleted my Twitter, which I've had since 2009, and it's permanently gone. So you can't find me there anymore. But you can find me. I'm very sad about it. You can find me on Instagram at Zoraida Solo, like Han Solo. And that's it. That is the only place left for me. Also, I have my website, zoraidacordova.com. If you sign up for my newsletter, that's generally where I give my most updates. And if you pre-ordered Mermaids Never Drown, you can go on my Twitter and get the link for the pre-order campaign, so you can get the tarot cards. But yeah, those two. Oh wait, no, I do. I have Blue Sky. But I haven't logged in since I made like one tweet. It's not even a tweet. I'm falling apart. You go. Somebody else goes.
Great.
Somebody had to drop out and come back in, just like we bookended it.
We showed it works. And
Yeah,
we're
there you go.
in a room together in a couple months. Oh.
How about you, Anika? Where can everybody find you?
Okay, so on Instagram, I have the longest Instagram. I needed to come up with a cuter one, but I didn't. It was not creative, so I'm just Anika_Alamwe_Denise on Instagram. The same on Threads. I am at Anika Denise on Twitter. Oh, not Twitter. But I'm never there, honestly. So yeah, so mostly, and I don't know, I'm on TikTok. I have too many different things. On TikTok, I am Anika_author. How is that not taken? I don't know, but that's what
I'm following you right now.
which is so cool.
I love that. I love that.
Anika author.
Yeah. And you can find me, Angela Montoya _author on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok as well. So that concludes this amazing time. Honestly, thank you so much for just offering us so much wisdom and guidance. And I just know everybody has so much to take from this. So seriously, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, I speak for everybody when I say, like, I bow to thee. Thank you so much. Seriously.
Thank you for moderating.
You
You
so
did a
much.
phenomenal
you're
job. You're a
and
pro.
you're doing incredible as a
Yes.
debut. We're so proud
Yeah,
of you.
everybody
Can't wait.
pre-order Angela's book.
Yes.
We need more Latin fantasy. I'm so excited for this. It's gonna be incredible.
Thank you. We can end right there as everybody praises me. This is just the highlight of my day. Thank you very much. Thank you for attending the 10 Things I Wish I Knew About Marketing My Book panel at the Latinx Kidlit Book Festival. We really appreciate you guys stopping in.